Aloha and welcome to Live at the Legislature. I'm Carolyn Tanaka, and every Tuesday we sit down and talk to members of the House of Representatives about legislation, issues, and concerns moving through the halls of the state capitol. But today we're not going to talk about legislation, we're going to talk about the census. You have heard about it, you have seen about it on TV. We're going to talk some more about it because it is something that is very important to the people of this state. Joining me this morning is Representative Ty Cullen. He represents, here we go, Waipahu, Royal Kunia, Village Park, West Loch.
Yes, portions of Kapolei and Ewa. So it's a mouthful.
Right.
I know it is.
And all parts in between. Also with us is Sokol. She is with the U.S. Census Bureau. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me on.
So let's talk about it. The census. We all know the word. Why should we care?
Well, for the state of Hawaii, the census is important because the federal impacts not only affects the state, our communities, but it affects our families. Because federal funding is very important in how we utilize funding resources throughout our communities, and especially directly to the families that are paying federal taxes. If you're paying income tax, if you're paying gas taxes, you want your fair share. So it is important that you or we get our fair share back from the federal government, because in communities we're always complaining that the government is taxing us too much. So this is one of the ways where you can really utilize your count, your number, your family's count to get what is due, because federal highways and construction, that money comes back through a formula-based federal government. Population is part of that formula, and we need to receive some of that government money back. Medicare, Medicaid is big areas. Also Pell Grants for students who go for higher education.
Money.
Yes, scholarship money. So these are just general terms, how is important and direct federal monies that come. 2017, state received directly because of population count over $5.8 billion to the state of Hawaii. That's in 2017. 2020 numbers could be a lot higher.
But one of you, Hawaii has not been doing too well on the response rate, right?
Yes, we have not been doing well on the response rate. The national average in 2010, our self-response was 74%. We came in at 68%. So, I hope, like in everything, Hawaii wants to be best. We do it on a lot of the live networks. So maybe Hawaii, we can get to that national average or even higher of going beyond 74%. That's where we are on today, because we want to ensure that Hawaii can really push and break through some of that barrier ceiling, so we can really move forward on getting not just a complete, but a very accurate count.
So, Annie, tell me, what can people expect? Some deadlines and stuff, process-wise, real quickly.
Thank you. Yes. Actually, in 2 days' time, beginning March 12, household can expect an invitation on the mail to respond to the census. So that's from March 12 to 20. It is just a letter. You will be given an instruction on where to go online to respond, and it has a corresponding census ID as well. And then after that, if you haven't responded during that time frame, you will get another reminder, and then a third reminder towards the end of March, early April. And then if you are not comfortable doing it online, you still have the paper questionnaire option, which you will receive around April 8 to 16. So if you prefer that mode, please wait for the paper questionnaire to arrive, and then after that you will get a final postcard. Aside from those two options, you'll still be able to call as well. So we're really encouraging everyone, as Representative Cullen said, self-response is very important. So you have that time frame from March, mid-March to April to go ahead and register online on paper questionnaire and on the phone. It's very important.
So
Yes.
the U.S. Constitution says that every 10 years we need to count every person in the United States.
Yes, that's correct.
whether you are...
So yeah, we count everyone. It's a once a decade count. We count everyone in the United States, whether you are a citizen or not. As long as you are a resident of the United States and you live here, you should be counted, because we all benefit from having that accurate and complete count, because again, it's the money that comes into our community, it's our representation in Congress, it's redistricting, so a lot of things are really hinges on the census.
So, Representative Cullen, can you give us some examples, practical examples of how the response on the survey impacts everyday working people?
Yes. So, for example, one of the biggest areas of federal funding is, I think, 13% of our Department of Education, where our students, our families send their kids to our public education institutions. They have, they receive a direct funding, especially with Title I money.
Right.
So, no matter what, families in Hawaii, indirectly or directly, get impacted. If you are using our highway system, driving on our roads, if you want us to have better roads, this is regarding more federal dollars coming in so we can actually fix some of these roads. Because we do pay a gas tax, a federal gas tax. So we want to make sure that money is not going to some other state. For every undercount that we do, for every 1 percentage point, it's an estimated $37 million loss. So in that sense, if we undercount, then we're losing money. That means money is going to another state. That's why in the House here, take it up with leadership, they're really pushing the census because, as Vice Chair of Finance, seeing the budget and as we work, we don't want to lose federal money. We want more federal money so we can utilize it and really help out other areas within our state budget so we can really help our communities so that they can benefit from them.
Well, I know that you have taken you and Representative Henry Aquino, who also represents the Waipahu area, you both have taken a keen interest in the census. And in fact, in your community, you've got a census event coming up. You want to talk about that?
Yes. So we, Representative Aquino and myself, has partnered with the Filipino Complete Count Committee on Oahu, and we are holding a census fair, which is on March 14th, and it is at Waipahu High School cafeteria. It will be between the hours of 10:30 and 2:30. We have students from the area schools, both intermediate, elementary, and high school clubs that will be performing and doing the program, so we can bring the families out to the census fair, and that's the driver to get people to get interested, and it's at the school because federal money from the census goes to the schools.
And we're talking about lunch program, breakfast program, all those kinds of things. We've run out of time. This is so fascinating, this census, and you guys have been very informative. Thank you for joining us this morning, and we will talk more about it later, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us at Live at the Legislature. We will see you next week. Aloha.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record Live at the Legislature on Alelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.
Aloha and welcome back to Live at the Legislature for our Senate segment. I'm your Senate Communications Director, Jesse Broder Van Dyke, and my guest this week is Senator Drew Kanuha, who's representing Ka'u on the Big Island.
Aloha, Jesse.
Thanks for being here. And this week we're doing our elbow bump because we're getting ready for the coronavirus, the COVID-19. A couple weeks ago, the Senate passed over $10 million in funding for emergency response. What else is the Senate doing to prepare and make contingency plans?
Well, definitely making contingency plans. We always advocate to everybody, our constituency, that it's important to visit the website, Department of Health website. They have all the up-to-date information that you need to prepare for the virus that's obviously hitting the entire world. So visit the website, find the up-to-date information. I did want to say that in the Senate, at least, thanking Senator Donna Mercado Kim for providing us with hand sanitizer, doing the simple things as making sure you just wash your hands. So that's some of the small things that we can prepare to do. And obviously, we're going to be looking at more funds in the future on the preparation for this deadly virus. But visit the Department of Health website, and you can get that information as fast as possible.
So for the meantime, we're preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best.
Yes.
And doing what we can to prevent the spread as much as possible.
Yes.
Back in your home district of Kona and Ka'u, I know the heat in classrooms has been a major issue. How have you been dealing with that?
I did propose legislation this year and asking for capital improvements for the schools, for the district, actually for the whole island. But I definitely want to figure out first if I can get funding to cool our schools. I know the legislature in the past has provided a lot of money for that type of project, but it only went so far. And definitely looking forward this year for my ask, as temperatures aren't getting cooler, global warming is happening, and kids are getting hotter, and definitely want to make sure that they're comfortable while in the classrooms, and so they can have a cool learning environment.
Yeah, the west side of Hawaii Island must be one of the hottest places in the whole state.
It's pretty hot. I growing up in that community, I didn't think about it, but now I think about it. You definitely want to make sure that the kids are comfortable.
And we know it's only going to get hotter over time, unfortunately.
Yep.
You were telling me you have a charter school in your district that's gotten a lot of increase in enrollment, in part because of the Native Hawaiian cultural renaissance that's been inspired by Mauna Kea and so many other things going on. How has that affected that school?
It's affected it tremendously. I think they even had to cut out, so the school you're talking about is Ehunui Kaimalino, which is right below Konawaina High School in South Kona. It's a great thing to happen that a lot of the families on the island, or at least on the west side, want their kids to learn Hawaiian. And Ehunui Kaimalino is a great school, a great charter school to go to for them to learn, Hawaiian language. I didn't have the opportunity growing up to go to a charter school or learn Hawaiian. My father never spoke Hawaiian. My grandfather spoke Hawaiian, but they didn't speak it to my father because it was not something that, they were brought up not teaching language to their kids. And that's how I grew up too. So it's a great opportunity for the families to take their kids to learn Hawaiian. But this school has seen enrollment increase in the past year, and they had to cut out one of the grades because of it. And hopefully with this session, we can get the adjacent land purchase to build more classrooms. And hopefully the school doesn't send the families away, and the kids can learn Hawaiian language at the school. So it's a good opportunity for us this year to try to purchase the land to increase the enrollment at Ehunui Kaimalino.
It really is amazing, the renaissance that's happening. I used to work for Senator Akaka, and he told me that his parents both spoke Native Hawaiian, and that they told him not to speak it. It wasn't allowed. Yep. He was forced to speak English, and then his children have learned Hawaiian, and now they're part of this renaissance that's happening now.
Absolutely, I think it's great.
And what does it mean to you to be a Native Hawaiian in the Hawaii State Senate?
Oh, it's awesome. When I first got elected to the council on Hawaii Island, I was the only Hawaiian on the council. And continuing on, when I became chair, we had our mayor, Billy Kinoi. He was a Hawaiian mayor. I was a council chair as a Native Hawaiian, and it was awesome to see, to work with him and do a lot of good things for Hawaii Island. And to come to the legislature, I'm one of several in the Senate. There's several in the House, and it's a great opportunity to advocate for Hawaiian values, a lot of the stuff that our community, we always try to get the Hawaiian community out to vote, be part of the process, continue the conversation of how we move forward as a Hawaiian community, as a lahui. But it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, on opening day, it was really inspiring to see the number of Native Hawaiian children who are here and who are now inspired to be part of the political process and want to make a difference.
Absolutely.
And speaking of children, you're one of the youngest senators. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay.
In a month, I'll be 36.
All right. And so how does it make your experience different to be the youngest member?
Yeah, I try to tell everybody I'm not the baby of the Senate, but I'm here to learn and listen and take advice. But it's I always advocate for younger generation to stand up, to move up, and advocate for what you feel is right. It's really important, and I'm glad to see all across the state our younger generation. I don't know what generation you want to call it, millennial or X or whatever.
Yeah, I have
no idea. But I think it's good that our younger generation moves up and speaks for themselves.
And your colleagues picked you to be the caucus leader. What do you do in that role?
Yeah, great question. That was the question I asked when I first became caucus leader. Was what is a caucus leader? It's a role. I'm part of leadership, and great to have support of my colleagues. Great to have support of our Senate President Ron Kochi, in being part of this position. It's a role that I had to learn. It's something that when we're in caucus meaning the senators get together, majority caucus gets together, and we talk about what's going to be happening on the floor of the Senate. So a lot of times, we want to make sure that things that any senators have issues about, we get them out in caucus. It's behind closed doors. There's no votes taken. We're not allowed to do any of that. It's just something that we can be frank to each other before coming out on the Senate floor.
And if you can't come to an agreement, then you bring the debate to the floor.
Then you bring the debate on the floor. And we just want to make sure that everybody is okay.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us this week. Instead of shaking your hand, I've got some more hand sanitizer for you. And thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week at Live in the Legislature.
Your government needs you. The Hawaii State Legislature is encouraging citizens to get informed and involved. With thousands of bills introduced every year, it can be hard to keep up on the issues that matter most to you. Located on the 4th floor of the state capitol, the public access room is filled with knowledgeable and friendly staff to help you. This is your Hawaii, your state capitol. Get informed, get involved, and get the government you want.
Aloha.
Legislators, are you looking for an efficient way to get a timely message across to your constituents? Look no further than Olelo's suite of easy access services. We offer a mini studio designed to help you create a short message or a 30-minute program. We also offer basic production training where you can learn how to produce, shoot, and edit your own videos. Access to broadcast media has never been easier. Reach out to your constituents. Visit olelo.org for more information.
Aloha, and welcome to the Legislative Minorities section of Live at the Legislature. I'm your host, Aloha Lindsay. Our guest this morning is Representative Lauren Matsumoto. She is the minority floor leader and is also a co-convener of the Women's Legislative Caucus. Representative Matsumoto, good morning.
Good morning.
So today on the House floor, you will have a floor presentation. So can you just to start off, tell us a little bit about that?
Like you mentioned, I'm a co-convener for the Women's Caucus, and I'm also on the executive board of Women in Government. And this is a huge year for women. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. We just had International Women's Day on Sunday, and so I'm so proud to be able to honor women surfers. And we don't just have the top athletes here. We have women who've been advocating for equality in surfing for many, many years. And so we're honoring 7 women on the floor today. One of the women is Bonsai Betty DePolito. She's a strong advocate for women's surfing. She runs the Queen of the Bay. We have Sabrina Brennan. She is somebody who's co-founded the Committee for Equity for Women's Surfing and has really pushed for women to be in big wave surfing. We have Paige Alms, who's the first ever big wave surfing world champion, and she's also won 2 championships. We have Honolulu Bloomfield. She is the world champion for longboarding for the 2nd time in a row. We have Carissa Moore, who won't be joining us because she's competing in Australia, but her mom, Carol, will be accepting it on her behalf. And she is the world champion. And I believe she is still ranked #1, and she'll be heading to Tokyo for the Olympics. This year is the first time that they're going to have surfing in the Olympics. We have Keala Kenley, who was the world champion in big wave surfing in the last year. So we have 3 of the world champions in surfing, all from Hawaii, for our women. And we also have Carol Phillips, who is a tireless advocate for women surfing. She's on the North Shore Neighborhood Board, so I get to see her all the time, and we have her here today. So excited to hear from Carol and all the things they're doing for women surfing.
Carol, welcome. Welcome to Live at the Legislature. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So you're a bit of a pioneer in women's surfing. From my understanding, you're the first woman to ever compete against men at the Bonsai Pipeline. Is that true?
That is true. It was in the sport of bodyboarding, but I was the first woman to compete out there many years ago.
And on the topic of Rep. Matsumoto's floor presentation today, can you tell us a little bit about the importance of women in surfing?
So surfing is Hawaii's gift to the world. It's indigenous, it was invented here, and Hawaii has a long history of women excelling in the sport of surfing. And it creates, by giving women more opportunities, and we're struggling right now part of the conversation today is about gender equality and the importance of having women having an equal standing and equal opportunities with their male counterparts in the sport of surfing is all of the health benefits, the socioeconomic benefits that participating in sports offers people. So it's just so important that our women in Hawaii and our females have that same opportunity.
And then on that, Hawaii has also obviously, like you said, a very important and kind of iconic role. So can you talk about that and your involvement in that movement as well?
Yeah, so Hawaii is the birthplace of surfing, and we are at some level the role models for the rest of the world on how to move forward in surfing. And sadly, we are failing with the women's participation. And for example, there are no world qualifying events in Hawaii for women. And without the opportunity to compete in these events, then the women cannot get into the World Championship Tour. And as it stands right now, in order to qualify for the Olympics, you have to be able to get into that World Championship Tour. So the hope is that Hawaii and our leaders will step up and provide the women with these opportunities, because it's just so important for Hawaii, I believe, to set the standard for how surfing should be conducted around the world.
And how long has this fight for equality been in women's surfing?
Oh, this fight for equality for women's surfing. Professional surfing has actually started on the North Shore. The first professional contests were run on the North Shore, and I believe that was back in the 70s. And so I would say that fight has been since the 70s.
And coming into 2020, Lord willing, the Olympics aren't canceled, but this is the first year that I believe that women will be competing in surfing in the Olympics?
So this is the first year that anybody will be competing in surfing in the Olympics. And the nice thing about the Olympics is that they have gender equality as part of their mandate. It's hopeful that because we have the same amount of male athletes as female athletes going, that the quote, powers that be in the surfing industry will see that and start giving women more of an equal opportunity. But the point is there's gold medals. And as I was saying, the weight of a gold medal is equal for a male or a female. And we have the best athletes. Right now we have Carissa Moore is going to be on the Olympic team, and also John Florence. So we have 2 athletes coming from Hawaii out of 50 states to represent us in the Olympics. And these athletes both happen to be favorites. And we can't just squander that opportunity and not prepare for the future. And by giving more women athletes, as well as the guys, of course, the resources and the support that they need so that we can. And I know it's a big goal, but I would like to see Hawaii win all the gold medals for surfing forever, right? and we got to have that as our goal, whether we achieve it or not. We need to do that.
And something interesting that Rep. Matsumoto and I had talked off camera is that in World Championship surfing, Hawaii is a different, I guess, nationality than the U.S. So there's Hawaii surfers and then there's U.S. surfers. But in the Olympics, we're just going to have our Hawaii surfers will be competing for the U.S.
Exactly.
And
yes.
so how many surfers are from Hawaii of the total for both men?
So there's four people, 4 athletes, 2 women and 2 men. And so 2 of those are from Hawaii, 1 male and 1 female. And then I believe the other 2 are from California.
Okay. And so we've got about a minute, 15 seconds left. Where do you see the future of surfing for women in Hawaii and just surfing in general?
Well, it was a long time being advocated for the surfing to be in the Olympics, and Tahiti just announced that they will have surfing because the next Summer Olympics after Japan is in France, and so Tahiti, being part of France, is just announced that they're going to be hosting the surfing portion of the Olympics in Tahiti. How exciting! When the United States holds the Summer Olympics, we could hold it in Honolulu or on the North Shore. We could actually have Olympic Games in surfing here. I mean, and the benefits of that, and amazing, how exciting that would be to host the Olympics, in Hawaii, especially the surfing Olympics is. I get all excited. I think it's fabulous, and it's something that we should all work together to achieve.
Absolutely. We're just about out of time, so Rep. Matsumoto, one thing I forgot to mention is your district is part of the North Shore,
yes.
So it's a particular honor for you to have this. And for the folks at home who will be watching today, we'll have the floor presentation at 12 o'clock noon here in the House chamber. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.